leaks in a moment.
Talk to Larry at 888-KUDLOW-2. Now, more Larry Kudlow.
Welcome back, folks. I'm Larry Kudlow. Very, very, very pleased to welcome our next guest, an old friend, Joe DiGenova. Joe's a founding partner, DiGenova and Tunsing, Victoria Tunsing, another dear friend. Joe is a U.S. Attorney, I believe, in Northern Virginia. Tell me if I'm wrong about that, Joe. I believe you were a Reagan appointee, but
Reagan appointee in the District of Columbia.
Oh, District of Columbia. Okay, even better. So, Joe, I got lots of things to ask you. Nobody better than you. First of all, question. Why did Jim Comey do this? Why now? Why did he do it? And does this imply, infer, suggest that he bungled the earlier investigation of Hillary?
He had to do this. He was facing the equivalent of the 2016 Kane mutiny inside the Bureau. He's Captain Queeg at this point. The inescapable conclusion from this letter going to Capitol Hill was that the original investigation was not thorough, was not complete, was not professional. How, you might ask yourself, do you miss finding out that Uma Abedin and her husband share a laptop that has tens and thousands of work-related emails on it if your first investigation was so thorough? One of the initial things you do in any investigation is interview the spouses of people who are subjects or targets. It's fairly clear that Comey set out originally to make himself a hero by clearing the first female nominee for president of a major party and getting this out of the way. Unfortunately, in the course of doing that, he ran into a buzzsaw of professionalism among career agents who refused to be a part of a cover-up. That letter went up yesterday because if he didn't send that letter, the agents were going to leak the information to the press. This is his own undoing. He brought this on. It's part of his arrogance and his inflated self-image of himself. Unfortunately, in the course of doing so, he created a double standard of justice. He completely tarnished the FBI, leaving himself with no credibility and no moral authority to govern. That's why many of the agents call him a dirty cop.
Wow. Joe, this is tough stuff. It's coming from you, so it has credibility. Down through the years, I didn't know Comey worth a hoot. I always kind of thought he was a good cop, but I didn't know for sure. I love the FBI, Joe. I grew up loving G-Men. What can I tell you? In my opening segment, I quoted L.A. police detective, what's his name? The guy who used to say, "Just the facts, ma'am." Just Joe Webb, I think his name was. Just the facts, ma'am.
Friday.
Joe Friday. Comey didn't get just the facts, ma'am. Hillary didn't give him just the facts, ma'am. So now, just as a small piece of this, I'm assuming Comey is history, either sooner or later. He's gone. Is that fair?
I think I think that is fair. I think he no longer has the moral authority to lead, even if this works out, and everything is hunky dory at the end of it, whatever that means. He has so tarnished himself in the Bureau by his conduct. That he can no longer lead the Bureau.
Yeah.
Now, assuming Hillary wins, she might want to keep the guy for all I know, but she doesn't have any choice, by the way. He's got a 10-year statutory limit. He cannot be fired except for cause. I happen to believe that this is cause,
right.
But I don't believe Hillary Clinton, if she's elected, is going to be the one to fire him.
Now, Joe, is this a continuation of what I thought earlier was a criminal investigation that could have gone to the grand jury? The reason I ask, Joe, is Hillary, for political reasons, wants everything out on the table. Can Comey and the FBI permit that, or is this part of a new criminal investigation?
Well, this appears to be a continuation of the original investigation or rejuvenation of it. They do not have the authority at this point, because it's an ongoing investigation, to release information to the public or to Congress. If it is ongoing, as he purports it to be in his letter, they have to keep all of that confidential. Now, Jim Comey has been doing unusual things throughout this to save his fanny and to look like a hero. God only knows what he might do tomorrow. I find his failure to follow regular order to be his undoing. And if he continues that, he most certainly will find himself being either impeached or thrown out on his ear. His original problem, the original sin in this case, is they didn't have a grand jury, they didn't call witnesses, they didn't issue any subpoenas, they didn't issue any search warrants, they allowed immunities to be used improperly. When you go through the litany of things that were done in this case, it's clear that this case was thrown. This case was being run by David Kendall, the defense attorney for all these people in this case in Hillary. This case was not run by the Justice Department. And the Justice Department we have now, please, is the most politically corrupt Justice Department in 100 years. They are an embarrassment. Loretta Lynch is an embarrassment. Comey has piled on the embarrassment. These people are laughed at in the hallways of the Department of Justice and the FBI. It is truly, truly a sad state of affairs. And no matter what he does now, Comey is dead meat just internally in terms of respect and credibility.
We're talking to Joe DiGenova, former U.S. Attorney in Washington, D.C., Reagan appointee many years ago, old friend, he and his partner and wife, of course, Victoria Tunzing. Joe, there's a lot of loose ends here. I don't get any of this. Let me, and you're moving at the speed of light like you always do, and that's why we love you. But so let me just get this right. It is highly unlikely that he will release these new emails. I think that's what you're saying. Point number one.
That is correct.
Point number two.
How he's conducting a legitimate probe, you don't release them because you want to be able to track people in lies.
Right. Okay, gotcha.
With new interviews, all these people are going to need to be re-interviewed. All these people that he gave immunity to, they all need to be re-interviewed.
So we're going to spend the next 10 days speculating about these about this information. Right. That's insanity. I mean, to me, it's insanity.
He has created a monster by not following regular order from the beginning. He didn't want to conduct an investigation, and thus this is what he has wrought.
I understand why Huma Abedin, Hillary's top assistant, might have access to some of these sensitive emails from the private server, from the government, whatever. I sort of vaguely understand. How, though, does her emails get to her, whacked out, sex-crazed husband, Congressman Anthony Weiner, former congressman? How does that happen? And how does the FBI not discover that in their original investigation?
Those are perfectly good questions. Number one, apparently, according to FBI sources, the laptop that she and Anthony Weiner had was one that they shared. They both kept information on it. So if you're thinking to yourself, how can this not be the negligent handling of classified information? There's clearly all kinds of intent here. When Comey held his original news conference and he said there was no intent, that was laughable. Everybody in law enforcement, the Department of Justice, and everywhere knows that you get intent from the inference from circumstantial evidence. When you set up a private server, unsecured, unencrypted, in the basement of your home, which is accessed by dozens of unencrypted devices on your staff, that is the intent to knowingly compromise classified information because you assume the risk that it will be compromised. All of the things that he has done show why he didn't discover the Weiner Abedin laptop, because the original investigation was not a real investigation.
Right. No, I get that. That answers a lot of important questions. Joe, another, I don't know, maybe this is a sidebar, but maybe not. Huma Abedin, can she be charged for lying and obstruction of justice? Huma.
If she failed to disclose the existence of the laptop, she cannot claim she forgot it. If she was asked questions about that and she lied, she can be charged with 1001, lying to a federal investigator. There's no doubt in my mind that Hillary Clinton lied dozens of times to FBI investigators during her interview. For example, according to Mr. Comey's report to Capitol Hill, she said, "I can't remember 39 times," when asked about very important and specific things, saying that she had had a head injury and that her memory was very, very bad. At the end of that interview, the FBI agents conducting it, even though it was a very poor interview, at least they said, "Can we subpoena the medical records to analyze her head injury?" And Comey said, "No, there will be no subpoenas." So bottom line is, Comey made this bed. He's in it. I have no sympathy for the guy. This is a disgraceful performance by a federal law enforcement officer. He's permanently tarnished the FBI. He's created a double standard of justice in the United States. And the rule of law is a mess now because of him.
Now, what happens This is another sidebar, but maybe not an unimportant sidebar. This whole business, Joe, that you know about and been reading about, as we all have, that this guy who was, I guess, the deputy director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe, who helped oversee the agency's investigation into Hillary Clinton. So his wife is running for something or other, Congress or Virginia State Senate. That's what I thought, actually. That's what I had.
In Virginia.
In Virginia. So Clinton pal, close Clinton pal, Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe, channels about $500,000 to the campaign, the state Senate campaign of Jill McCabe, the wife of the FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. And guess who raised $1 million for McAuliffe's PAC, of which $500,000 went to Jill McCabe. Guess who raised that money? Guess who channeled the money in? Hillary Clinton.
That's right.
So Hillary raises the money. The money goes to Hillary pal McAuliffe. McAuliffe gives the state Senate candidate Jill McCabe $500,000. And, oh, by the way, it just so happens that Jill McCabe's husband, a chap named Andrew McCabe, is the deputy director, one of many overseeing Hillary's, shall we say, prosecution. Joe DiGenova, I have never seen anything this sleazy. I'm not an FBI historian, but I like the FBI. I want to believe in the FBI. How in God's name does this happen?
The sentiment inside the Bureau is not since L. Patrick Gray during Watergate burned Watergate documents in the fireplace of his residence in Virginia has there been such an embarrassment. The sad thing about the Andrew McCabe case was that it was so obvious what needed to be done, which was that McCabe needed to recuse himself from anything involving Hillary Clinton. Instead, the FBI issues a statement that said, oh, we covered this. He recused himself from everything involving cases in Virginia because his wife was running in Virginia. Now, that's insulting. That's insulting to everybody to whom that was issued. How can you be that tone deaf? I'll tell you something. If Comey goes, everybody in the front office should go. And I do not see, again, Larry, how he continues to presume to be the director of the FBI. His stewardship there is a disgrace.
Joe, last one. What happens here? How does this play out? You got 10 days before the election, but then you got a new president-elect. This isn't going to stop in 10 days. This is going to go on for a while, is it not?
Yes, because Comey short-circuited the original investigation and caused it to be a Potemkin investigation, a fake investigation. This will now go on beyond the election. If he fakes it again and ends the investigation on a day or two before the election, say they've now reviewed tens of thousands of emails from the Wiener laptop and find that there's no there, he will be roundly booed by almost everyone except the partisan Democrats who cheered him a couple of weeks ago.
If he pulls that, Joe, I hate to use this phrase, this country will crucify him. I don't care who you're for.
Larry, here's what's the heartbreaker. The other day, I got a call from a committee in the House of Representatives to ask my opinion. They'd seen my comments. And I said, well, why don't you guys do this? This was before the disclosures yesterday. I said, why don't you introduce a resolution in the House? You're a senior committee of no confidence in the FBI director. I said, did you guys have no confidence in him, right? They say, oh, sure, we don't have any confidence in him. I said, well, so why don't you introduce, then you can have a good floor debate. If it doesn't pass, you're sending a signal to the director. They said, oh, we can't do that. We don't have enough evidence. These are the wusses in the Republican Party who conduct oversight. They're a disgrace as well.
I want you back in government, Joe. I don't care what it is. You want to be attorney? You want to be attorney general? I want
to be on the outside.
You can be a radio, TV broadcaster.
Take care,
Joe DiGenova, former U.S. attorney, great friend. Please send my very best regards to Virginia. We appreciate your help today very much. Good luck, Joe. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get a little update on the polling numbers. Some overnight polls are showing the gap is narrowing. This whole thing is exploding before our eyes. I'm Kudlow. Please stay with me.
The Larry Kudlow Show.